Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says, "Hey dude, you too must be from Marin." Marin County's A-OK, from Tam to Stinson all the way to MA. Fresh organic veggies in the market every day. Lieutenant Dylan and NWA.
This is the Run TMC Podcast. That is the Run the Marin County Podcast. I am Duffy Ballard, and with me is Dave Levine, and we are getting to the very end. Things are winding down in the high school basketball season, which is both exciting, but also makes me a little melancholy, Dave, for the days past.
I'm very sad. Melancholy. Wasn't there a Smashing Pumpkins album? Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness.
There was.
Getting really emo. Yeah, I think as my daughter Lucy would say, I've been very emo the last couple of days since our team lost, and it's a fun time of year. The teams that are still around, we'll talk about it. It's an exciting time. We're in NorCal final week, and then state championships this coming weekend. And by the way, we won't go deep into this stuff, but we're also now in CYO playoffs, which is awesome. So good luck to all the CYO playoff teams. That's next Friday, Saturday,
Right.
Sunday.
Yeah, and then March Madness right after that.
Yep. So we're sad, but we do have some fun things ahead of us. And then spring training and baseball season and summer. And
At some point, the Warriors can come back, and that 50-point loss to the Celtics will seem like eons and eons ago.
hey, I have an idea, Duff. This is earth-shattering. Maybe we should guard Jason Tatum. Let's not sag off on Tatum.
Okay, fair enough.
I think that was part of the strategy. I didn't see the game, but I heard that one of the things that the Warriors tried this time around was, the Celtics are tough, right? You got to pick your spots, but I think Tatum's one of the guys we should probably guard closer. But
I didn't see the game. I was at work, Dave, but someone described it, maybe you, as a scheduled loss. So,
Exactly.
so even though Curry played, he, scheduled an 0 for 9 night, and, you never know, I think more can be made out of a game like this than really should be. Yeah, the Warriors lost by 50, but they won their first 3 games on a road trip. They're overall playing well.
Yes.
Celtics are the best team, but this will be fodder for potential revenge at some point down the line if the Warriors make a run. So
This makes you appreciate and puts into perspective the Warriors season a couple years ago when they set the record and won, was it 72 games? 73, something like that, 73-9?
73-9.
Which, if you think about an 82-game season, we've been doing this podcast for 6 months. They've been playing, basically, the Warriors started playing in October. They've been playing for 5 months, pretty much every week, couple nights a week, planes. The NBA season is just a slog. So you're going to have nights like that.
Yeah. But we don't have days like that on the podcast, and we were pretty much undefeated on this podcast.
We are always on. Okay, what's our first item, Duffy?
I believe the script calls for us to talk about NorCal update.
Yeah, so we made it, as we talked about before, we made it through NCS, and then we're now in the thick of NorCal's. Sadly, a number of the Marin teams who made it have had their seasons come to an end. So, Duff, why don't you start with the boys' side? We only had 2 teams in NorCal's on the boys' side overall, and one of them's still around.
Yep. All right. Let's start with Branson. They were the number 6 seed in the Open Division, and they played Clovis North. We got a great preview of that game from Coach Tornello.
Yes.
On our last episode. And we received a very good summary of the game from our friend and correspondent, Mike Mahoney. And so I'm going to read his recap of that game. Very close game, exciting game. I know you watched it, Dave, so I'll hand it over to you in a moment. You watched it on streaming.
I streamed
streaming services.
Yes.
Yeah. And hello, Kenya. All right. So here is the recap from Mike Mahoney. So he says, brutal one. Here's a recap. Clovis North plays fast, shoots from anywhere, and definitely looks to push the pace. They run a full court man press the entirety of the game and try to take advantage of trapping opportunities. They are 9 to 10 deep. Everyone says, by the way, that they were a super well-coached team. I've heard that from multiple people.
Very fun to watch, yes.
And they sub in the subs frequently to get fresh legs on the court. There are multiple guys that have a green light to let it fly. They came out hot and jumped an early lead. Branson battled back to take a lead in the early second quarter. The rest of the second quarter was very disjointed, not the best basketball. Up and down, high-paced, with not a ton of shot making and turnovers from both sides. Halftime score was 22-21 with Clovis leading. It sounds like a CYO 7th grade game.
So you think about the Branson team and the firepower that Branson has. To hold Branson to 21 points and a half is a notable accomplishment.
Right. Absolutely. By the way, Dave, I think I told you that TT and some of the other Branson players showed up at Open Gym at Archie this weekend after the season had ended, not to give away this game, but I think people know that Branson did end up losing this game. And man, can TT move. Everything's so smooth. And like that shot looks the same every time. Then at the end, at the end of the Open Gym, he jumped over 3 guys.
Just a little dunk.
Just a little dunk over 3 guys.
Cool.
Anyway, third quarter saw the offense on both sides improve. Every time the Bulls felt like they were about to make a push, Clovis had an answer. Quarter ended with them up 38-33 and steadily holding the lead. Then the fourth quarter was electric. Branson went on an 8-0 run halfway through the quarter and tied it up at 44 with about 3 minutes left. DJ Armstrong had a great game overall and some huge buckets during this run. I believe they were kind of letting him shoot, but he made them pay.
They were.
Branson finally took the lead again for the first time since early in the second quarter on a TT baseline jumper with under a minute left to put the Bulls up 48-47. Clovis answered right away to take a 49-48 lead. With 20 seconds left, Branson's final possession was sideline inbounds. And then you saw this streaming, Dave, so you want to kind of take us through what happens next?
Yeah, it was a really exciting end. Branson down 1. I think there were 8.8 something seconds left. Branson called timeout, drew up a play, sideline inbounds. They inbounded it to Jace. Seemed like they wanted Jace to go to work. Clovis's defense all game was really, they're just a very well-coached team. So they were packing it in, cutting off all the penetration. So Jace couldn't penetrate. He kicked it over to TT. TT had the ball on the wing, on the left wing. He kind of drove to his right to the top of the key, and then he tried to penetrate, and he got stuck. He penetrated into a double team, and the ball came loose. Branson tried to call timeout, did not have time to do it. And it ended up being, I think it was a jump ball that went to Clovis. And by that point, it was like 2 seconds left or something.
Yeah.
Now the challenge, actually, Duff, we talk about this with Jonas Honeck in round 2 with Jonas, which will come out in a couple weeks. But Branson only had 1 team foul at that point. So down 1, Clovis's ball underneath Clovis's own basket, but there's only 2 seconds left. And you got to commit 4 fouls to get to the bonus.
Right. Good luck with that. Yeah.
So Branson tried. They didn't give up. But they just couldn't do it. And ultimately, Clovis came away with a 1-point win. It was a great game. TT had an unbelievable game.
17 points, 10 rebounds. DJ with 10 points, 6 rebounds. Jace, 9 points, 10 rebounds.
Yeah. And Clovis, it was a really fun contrast in styles. Now, not a total contrast, because we've talked about how Branson, in addition to their size and athleticism, is also just a really good fundamental team that we've talked about a lot. But Clovis is kind of a clinic on, every time those kids penetrated, they come to a 2-foot jump stop in the key, beautiful pivots, backdoor cuts. They all can shoot. The coach Anmundsen, his 2 kids play for the team. They're both really good players. So Clovis, just a really, really good team. Very fun game to watch.
Yeah, it sounded like an amazing game.
Yeah.
And yeah, we do talk in an upcoming podcast about like strategy as to whether or not you should take on a couple fouls in the fourth quarter under the new rules if you are behind, but maybe not so much if you're ahead. And also this is a rule that I learned midway through the season. There are no sort of take fouls off the ball allowed in high school. So it's not like they could foul someone before the ball was inbounded and use up the fouls that way. The ball had to be inbounded for them to be able to commit a foul. So anyway, great season for Branson. Congratulations. The highest achievement for a Marin County team in terms of getting to the open division in history. So good for them. Which dog is that?
And then,
that's Brody.
Oh, that's Brody.
That's Brody.
Interloper.
That's a husky. Yeah.
And then I will say, I know you're going to talk Duff about San Domenico, but just real quick, Clovis North did lose in the next round to Reardon by 12. Reardon's really good. And Reardon and Salesian are going to play in the NorCal finals this week. But so Clovis had their season end the next game against Reardon, at Reardon.
Yeah, so good segue here, Dave. I'll just run down the other D1 or the other NorCal finals.
Yeah.
San Ramon Valley, we saw them play. I'm not surprised to see that they are in the finals against Granada. And Granada, another team that dropped down from the Open to D1. So San Ramon Valley and Granada. Pretty much a testament to the seeding committee for the Open that you get two teams that were in the Open and they end up in the Division I finals after getting dropped down. Oakland Tech and Oakland, Division II. Santa Cruz and number 1 seeds to Santa Cruz versus Ballard, not Ballard, the number 6 seed. Division IV, Union Mine, number 4 versus the 14 seed Monterey, making a run. And then Division V, Athenian, number 1 seed versus San Domenico, which brings us to the semifinal, Division V NorCal, and the only team left, not to jump to the punchline, only Marin team left,
Boys or girls,
is San Domenico team. It's a team that you and I know pretty well, Dave. My kids were there last year. You're practicing, adjacent to the Tyler's team on a regular basis. So we both know this team pretty well.
Yeah.
They, have had a bit of an up and down season. They do have 11 losses, but played a really tough schedule, and they really have come together here in the playoffs. They beat Oakwood of Morgan Hill. That's down by Gilroy, Dave. 49-36. We were both at that game. And it was a tough game, not a disjointed game, not a lot of great shot making, but San Domenico just played really hard, and they got some hustle plays. They got some 50-50 balls.
Yep.
They did a great job on Oakwood's top scorer, kind of took him out of the game just with full on denial and just making it really tough for him to get the ball. And so they get the win 49-36. Coach Gaffney in the Marin IJ, he says, "We won ugly tonight. It was fun when everything was flowing, but it wasn't easy." So good win for them. Gavin Early, just a stud. He had 17 points, 12 rebounds, and got a big bucket for them pretty much whenever they needed one.
He was huge. And then a big shout out to Steven Song and Ika Johadze, who had the task of guarding Oakwood's star, Marko Milentijevic. If that last name sounds familiar to Marin basketball nerds, Marko's older brother, Alexa Milentijevic, went to San Domenico and played for Coach Fulton when Fulton was coaching the boys, and they won NorCal right in the COVID year, so 2019, 2020. Alexa was an unbelievable scorer for Coach Fulton in San Domenico, so his younger brother, Marko, went to Oakwood and is legit, really good player, and Steven and Ike just did an unbelievable job face guarding him all game, working tirelessly to get in Marko's way. I think Marko had 12 points, 10 rebounds, but nothing came easy to him. So that's what won the game for him.
Yep. Great job. So they go to Athenian tomorrow night, and I believe the name of the gym is Quinniset Hut Gym. Is that right, Dave?
No, I think that was a Quonset hut. That was an apt description.
Okay.
Yeah, they play at Athenian, and listeners, if you want, go back, listen to episode 12 that we recorded with Tyler Gaffney, one of our early recordings. And you would not be surprised after listening to that his team is in the NorCal final. The guy can coach, and he is just a really thoughtful, bright, young coach. I'm not at all surprised by his success.
Yep. So the last time these two played, Athenia and San Domenico lost 51-48, but they were without 3 key contributors in that game. They were missing both their guards, Ika and Steph, that you mentioned, as well as their junior transfer, Chris
Jaxus,
who had some big shots, by the way, in San Domenico's win. A little one-footed runner that probably was one of those sphincter moments where Coach Gaffney is like, no, yes.
Yeah,
exactly. Big shot, because they were at that point in the third quarter, they were having a really hard time getting anything to go down. All right, so let's move on to the girls.
Yeah, so I'll quickly go through it. We had 4 teams, including University, that made NorCals. Redwood beat Evergreen Valley in their first round NorCal game, 52-48 on the road. Nice win for Redwood. They then hosted the 4 seed Colfax 46 on, I think it was Tuesday night. This was interesting development, Duff. So Colfax was the higher seed. Redwood was the 12 seed. Colfax was 4. Colfax has 2 players who also play soccer, and they were in a NorCal semifinal or final soccer game against University in the city. So Colfax requested that the game against Redwood be moved from Colfax to Redwood, which was a ballsy,
bold move. Yeah.
ballsy move. And it was an unbelievable game. I was there. Colfax was off to a big lead early. Halftime, I think they were up 15 or so. It was not looking good for Redwood. They were just sort of disjointed. Colfax is really good. We played them last year. They press and they're really talented. But Redwood just fought back. Great comeback. Cut it to basically essentially a tie game. Ended up losing by 3, 46-43. Really amazing effort by Redwood. Very proud of them. Great season for Zach Borello and that team. NCS championship for Division II. They lose Rue Todd, who's an unbelievable point guard, but pretty much get, a lot of players back. So the future's bright for Redwood. Marin Catholic, just as we talked about with us and with Marin Catholic and San Domenico, just a tough draw. After a great season, they got the 10 seed in Division I. They had to travel to St. Ignatius. They fought hard, but they lost 45-41. So the end of the season for that great team. They lose some really good seniors, but they also have some great returners coming back next year. Our San Domenico girls, as we talked about a lot before, tough draw given our success. We were pulled up to Division II. We were the 15 seed. We went on the road to Vanden, and we lost 52-44 in a great game. And actually, Duff, I sent you a little recap of that. So
I'd be pleased to insert that into this episode, Dave, along with some sounds of the game from other locales in the NorCal.
Excellent.
Playoffs.
So we will play that later, but very proud of my San Domenico girls. We fought hard against a really good Vanden team.
They were good.
And then finally, University, number 1 seed in Division III, beat Northgate. They beat Atwater. They beat Cornerstone Christian by 5, and they are now in the NorCal final, a game away from state. They play Carruthers, who beat University last year, I believe, in the NorCals. And they play that game at Kezar Pavilion Tuesday night. And if they win that, they go to Sacramento and play in the state championship game. So that's the update from the Marin side. Overall, very successful season. 3 NCS champions, but competitive equity made tough seedings for us in the NorCals.
Yep, I think we can agree on that, Dave. And hopefully the emo will fade for you.
We'll see. Duffy, it's correspondent Dave Levine here with an update on our San Domenico girls basketball team's NorCal round 1 game. As we expected, it was a tough game. Vanden is really, really good, and traveling up to Fairfield to play in that gym was tough, was a challenge. And Vanden was big and athletic and quick and skilled and fundamental and well coached, and they played hard. And it was a tall order for our San Domenico Panthers. Also, not surprisingly, our girls competed. They didn't just play hard, Duff, they competed. And we were in the game the entire way. It was we were up 23-22 just before halftime, and we fouled Vanden on a 3-point shot with 1 second left in the second quarter. And kids, if you're listening, don't foul a 3-point shooter. Don't foul a jump shooter, one of the first things you learn in basketball, and definitely don't foul a 3-point shooter, because you're basically taking call it a 25-30% shot, and you're turning it into 3 70-80% shots. So we went into halftime down 25-23. The third quarter was very defensive and tough. I think it was a 12-8 quarter. We were hoping to get a lead and then, try to hold on in the fourth, but just couldn't happen. Fourth quarter, also very back and forth. We had a number of chances, number of shots that just didn't fall. Vanden did a great job containing Carly Amborn. Carly had 14. She had to work really hard to get them. But just a really fun, tight game, great atmosphere, and we ended up losing 52-44. I'm so proud of our kids, so honored to coach them, and really just sad that we lose our 6 seniors, and really sad to see the legend Mike Fulton coach his last game. There's no question in my book, the greatest coach in Marin history, boys or girls, is Mike Fulton. And sitting next to him on the bench during games and just listening to him analyze what's going on, make adjustments, find ways to get the kids to buy in. Just an absolute masterclass. And after the game, in the handshake line, the Vanden co-head coaches, who are great people, husband and wife crew, came up to Mike and said, for the 89th time that I've heard this, how do you get your kids to play so hard? And it's a great question. But you know what? Mike does an amazing job, but it's these kids. They're the ones who go out and play. So I want to acknowledge our 6 seniors who are just incredible basketball players, but even better people. Summer Jenkins, Avery Conklin, Lily Reeser, Naeli Aguirre, Mina Swaim, and Maddie Greenstone. Those kids played 4 years of varsity basketball. They went to back-to-back state championship games. They won a state title as sophomores. They won North Coast section as seniors. They won the Bay Counties League as seniors. They will leave a legacy and banners in that San Domenico gym that will not be forgotten or replaced. I also want to call out our amazing underclassmen who contributed greatly to this season. Carly Amborn, Player of the Year in the Bay Counties League West. I think a candidate for McDonald's All-American next year. And just a joy to coach, an unbelievable kid, incredible talent. I can't think of one time where we walked in the gym where we didn't have the best player on our team. And that's Carly. She's the best player in any gym that she walks into. Tosha Konchak, unbelievable kid, transfer from Poland, plays incredible on-ball defense. You can't go by her. She is tough as nails. She competes. She hit a couple huge shots for us last night. She's not afraid of the moment. Absolutely love coaching Tosha and can't wait to have her come back. And my girl, Amaji Cook, who made such great strides this year as a junior. She's going to work hard. She's going to play 24/8 again in the offseason and keep working and come back next year as a senior ready to really contribute. And Sana Kostecki, a sophomore who had to sit out all year because of a knee injury. She's been working hard, getting back. She was in every practice, even though she was injured. She's a great teammate, and she's a really good basketball player, and she's going to help us next year. And Molly Ellis, who is an unbelievable teammate and is going to work this offseason too and come back as a senior and contribute to our team. So really proud of these girls, really proud of Coach Fulton. It was an unbelievable season, and Little San Domenico got bumped all the way up to Division II and hung with a really good team in Vanden. So very proud. Thanks, Duff.
44-31. Correspondent Dave, what happened?
Awesome win for San Domenico.
Oh, not yet. 1.3.
1.3 seconds left. They're up 49-36. Really good balanced effort. Oakwood has a really good player, and
Moto Milinsiewicz.
well done. His older brother went to San Domenico, was a great player, and they did a great job of containing him. They face guarded him all over the court.
We got frustrated. Yeah.
Gavin Early had a great game. Gavin couldn't really play. Probably the best player on the floor. And a really nice win. Yeah. Tyler Gaffney did a great job with the game plan. And San Domenico boys are going to NorCal finals for D5. It's awesome.
There they go.
All right, let's see. Someone's barking to be let in, which must mean it's time for us to change the subject. Kenya, you're going to have to stay out there for a bit because guess what, Kenya? Sponsor time.
Ooh.
All right,
I'll go first.
Yeah, you go first. Cover all the sponsors. I got the hub.
Okay. We want to do a quick thank you to our sponsors. Medium, great online publishing platform. We love our friends at Medium. Karen Horstmeyer Real Estate. Please give Karen a call if you're buying or selling your home. We love Karen. The Nike camps at San Domenico. Jeff Skaggs. Jeff is very busy this week getting ready for the NorCal championship game. But those are great camps. Sign your kids up to play some hoops. Awesome set of coaches. And then finally, Duff, our friends at the Hub. Why don't you?
Yeah, instead of doing a menu item this time, Dave, I'm going to focus on happy hour at the Hub, but it's not just an hour. The Hub always gives a little bit more. It's an hour and a half. It's a happy hour and a half, weekdays from 3:30 to 5 p.m. And you get $5 craft pints as well as happy hour events and community givebacks. And if you're going there for happy hour, I would recommend, if you like wings, chicken wings. So they're served with carrots, celery, and blue cheese dressing. You can get house-made barbecue, buffalo, or lemon pepper. You can get a half dozen or a dozen. What Holden and I often do is get the lemon pepper, a dozen, and we just split them up.
It's a good strategy.
I also do like their grilled cheese on sourdough, even though it's for the little rancher, so it's actually, a kid's meal.
We won't tell anybody, Duff.
So anyway, yeah, head over for a happy hour and a half at the hub, and we'll see you there.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, Dave, you take us on to our next segment while I let the dog in. How about that?
So we're going to do a quick glossary, right, Duff?
Yes.
So I will do the first one. My glossary term is an Iverson cut. Those of you who know NBA great Allen Iverson, this was named after him. This is an action that I think you've probably seen if you didn't know that this is what it's called. It essentially involves a player making a cut from a wing across the free throw line to the opposite wing. And this cut can happen just in space, or it's usually accompanied by screens, a stagger screen at the two elbows from post players. But it's another way for a player to get open and hopefully have the ability to attack a closeout, or at least put the defense kind of off balance. But it's a cut from one wing to the other, named after Allen Iverson. It's an action that I like to use as a coach. I often do it with a 1-4 high set and have one wing clear and go through, and then the opposite wing cut across and replaced on an Iverson cut, and then just attack that open gap.
Go into the strong hand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we ran this play. We'd run it to Grady Stewart.
Yep. Who's
coming to his left.
He's lefty, right?
And then you had other action off of it. The nice thing is once you run it once, then there are a lot of other counters you can run off of it. Whether it's cut to the high post and misdirection, drop the other elbow guy can sort of do a quick dive to the basket.
Exactly.
So it's a nice set.
And you can sometimes get, particularly late in the game, if team defenses are tired and they're tired of running through screens, you could get a switch, right, where a big who's typically guarding one of the post players on the elbow switches out to your scorer who's coming off who's making the Iverson cut, and then you've got a nice mismatch with a big guarding a little, and little can go by him or her.
Did I tell you about the great switch I had on Saturday?
No, tell me.
Playing 5-on-5 continuous, as I said, with some of the Branson guys were there and a bunch of guys. I ended up somehow on a switch finding myself on the wing on defense guarding TT.
How'd that work out for you?
Well, fortunately, he did not have the ball. And
Okay.
I think whoever had the ball, I forget who it was. I think they looked at me and they saw the deer in the headlights.
Abject fear.
And they took pity and they did not pass TT the ball. So I got to stop.
Okay. Way to go. That counts.
Psychological stop.
Way to go.
All right. I've got one, Dave. Pass it to the basket, that is from The Shooting Guy. Have you heard about The Shooting Guy?
Yeah.
Rob Fordor, who also is the shooting coach for the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
He's worked with guys like Duncan Robinson and Max Strus. And so he's got a lot of good videos. And this is just one way of describing, shooting at a very basic level. And that is, how do you explain shooting in one sentence? Pass it to the basket. Shooting is the same move. In order to change a pass into a shot, what we need to do is change the launch angle to the basket. So you can just start
straight in front of you.
And very low trajectory, and then you just bring it up. So The Shooting Guy also has some great sort of, videos, as I mentioned, with how to teach the catch high, shoot high, which is what the Heat do. Is they really work, these guys work on wherever they catch the ball, whether it be, low or ideally high, that they're not bringing it down at all. It's just going up.
Yeah.
And so one thing you can do is just spin the ball up in the air and starting close, spin it up in the air, try and get a big bounce. And wherever you catch it, keep that elbow in and just shoot it from there without really concentrating on having the same release, but, not bringing it down. So you're same release from the elbow, but different release point based on where you catch the ball.
Yeah. And both those guys you mentioned, Duncan Robinson and Strus. Strus doesn't play for the Heat anymore.
Not anymore. But
But he's been playing great. I can't remember who he plays for, but I remember he won a game a couple nights ago.
Atlanta?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Half court shot, right?
Yes, exactly. But both those guys really good at that quick release, coming off screens, catch and shoot. I actually was thinking about showing my buddy Carly Amborn some Duncan Robinson video, because I'm working with Carly on the quick catch and shoot because teams are keying on her so aggressively that when she comes off a screen, if she puts the ball on the ground, it's gone, right? Because they just double her. So I want her to be able to just catch and shoot quickly, and that quick release, keeping the ball high, that's a great tip.
Yeah. Player control, Dave, sorry, it's the Cavs. And the Cavs have been playing great ball.
There we go.
Yeah. Cleveland Cavaliers. He's been playing a lot. He's been getting 30 plus minutes. I'm just looking at his stats here.
Yep.
So good shooting, only shooting 34% from three. I would have guessed a little bit higher than that, but yeah, nice player. Dave, I was going to talk about Bill Bradley and a sense of where you are, but we're running 25 minutes in already.
We'll table. Bill Bradley's great. We'll talk about him next time.
Yeah. It's going to, there's a book about him from when he was at Princeton. We'll cover it, but I was just reading about the description of his shot, and some of the same terms that we use, now were used back, 40 years ago when this book was written about Bill Bradley. Beautiful. Another day, Dave.
Another day.
All right, why don't you talk a little bit about our interview subject?
So this one was really fun. Our guest is Adrienne Sherk, her maiden name, Adrienne Payne. We go through her background in the interview. I will not do that here, but listen to it. She's got a lot to offer. She's a really smart, thoughtful person, and she was a hell of a basketball player. Played at Marin Catholic, played at Army, and then served in the military, served in Iraq. So this was a discussion about service and kind of the lessons learned playing basketball and being part of a basketball team, and how that helped her in her post-playing career as a soldier in Iraq. She's now a local businesswoman and mother and coach, and just a great person in the community. So really enjoyed talking to Adrienne.
Did you see her play when she was at Marin Catholic?
I absolutely did. And she was one of my favorite players to watch. And actually, she played AAU basketball for Mike Fulton for years. And Fulton says to this day, one of the favorite players he ever coached. And I asked him, give me some quick words to describe Adrienne Payne. And he said, fierce defender and amazing leader.
I can definitely see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very thoughtful, but you could tell definitely just in the conversation, soft-spoken, thoughtful, but just strength of character.
Yep. Absolutely.
It would shine through. All right. I'm just looking, Dave, before we get to the interview. So Army is D1
Yes.
basketball.
Yes.
And so they play teams like Marist College,
Mm-hmm.
Air Force, Texas Christian, TCU.
Yep.
I lost by 37 to them. Connecticut College, who I played against when we were at Haverford.
That's not UConn. That's Connecticut College.
Yeah, not UConn, Connecticut College.
Yes.
University of Vermont. Yeah, so some good teams.
Some good teams.
They're 12 and 15 this year, the women of Army. So, all right. Well, this is a great interview. We appreciate Adrienne's time and her thoughts. And I hope you enjoy the interview, Dave.
And we'll catch up after.
Oh, yeah. We got to do that, too. Okay.
Cool.
All right.
We are going. Hi, Adrienne.
Hi, how are you?
Nice to see you.
Good.
Okay, Duffy and I are joined in my kitchen with the legendary Adrienne Sherk, maiden name Adrienne Payne. Very excited about this one. So, Adrienne, I'll go through your background here and then get right to the topic, because I think this is one of the more interesting, insightful topics we've had, as opposed to just, how do you break a zone press? So, Adrienne grew up in Petaluma, our first Petaluma guest. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Representing Petaluma. So you played CYO for St. Vincent's?
I did.
4th grade you started?
We did. And fun fact,
Yes.
Sonoma County did not have CYO for girls, so we played in Marin County.
That was my next question.
Yep.
So you got to know the Marin scene because, to jump ahead, you ended up going to Marin Catholic.
Yep.
Where you played on that incredible team, the 2002 state title team, with our friend Brooke Smith. As we talked about with Brooke, 8 Division I players on that team. And you were the starting point guard.
It was, yeah.
Yep, right. Okay, so Adrienne went on to play at West Point Military Academy. But first, she was a 4-year varsity player for Marin Catholic, the all-time leader in Marin Catholic history in assists with 474. That's men or women. So, Duff, you could spot up and Adrienne will find you.
How many per game?
Do some math for us, Adrienne.
Yeah, I don't know what that averaged out to, but give or take. But I had Brooke, I had Nikki, I had Nestor Mikulski. I could pass to anybody.
That's true.
They would probably score. So
Probably
I had that
score.
on my side.
That's true. You played AAU for Mike Fulton for many years.
I did.
We'll talk about Mike Mike, by the way, still says he's you are one of his favorite players ever. And that's no small thing. He coached for 41 years, Adrienne. So you're on a short list. As I said, she went to West Point where she played D1. Adrienne didn't know I was going to say this, but I did a little internet snooping. The Army Athletic Association Special Award, not awarded on an annual basis, but only presented when a worthy candidate arises. The special award is presented to a cadet athlete for exhibiting outstanding achievement and exemplary leadership in athletic competition. The 2006 winner was Adrienne Payne. You mentioned you had 3 shoulder operations during your college career. We're going to get into that because, we like talking about how people deal with adversity. But despite that, you played 4 years at West Point. And then really, let's get to the nitty gritty here is after graduation, Adrienne was an active duty Army officer, both stateside and overseas, and you were deployed to Iraq, correct? She now lives in Nevada with her husband, also an Army grad. He played football there. They have 2 kids. She's the CYO coach for her daughter's 4th grade team. I saw them practice and they could beat many 6th and 7th grade teams in my estimation. And your son's 3rd grade Dust Bowl team.
Dirt Bowl.
Dirt Bowl.
Buck Chavez's organization. So yes, and he's
love it.
2nd grade, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. I predict, I'd like to be both of your kids' agents because I predict D1 athletes here. And she works for a tech company where she runs partnerships. Honored to have you, Adrienne, and thank you for your service. So, Duff, I'd like to start. I want to read the message that Adrienne sent us when we started the podcast. A couple episodes in, we got this message, and I'm just going to quote Adrienne. Quote, I thought it could be interesting to share how basketball prepared me for West Point and war. I was recruited to play at West Point and played for Army from 2002 to 2006. I was a cadet athlete at Army and have a pretty unique D1 playing experience, but what might be most interesting is that immediately after graduating, I was commissioned as an officer and deployed to Iraq as a platoon leader a few months later. I credit the lessons I learned from basketball with my ability to lead in combat. I'd love to inspire some Marin athletes to consider West Point and the other academies to play Division I. So when I got that message, I got chills and jumped on it and said, absolutely. So thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And it wasn't just the iced coffee giving you the chills, Dave.
No, but that helps. Why don't we start with your military service? Because I think that's really important. It's something we haven't talked about on this podcast yet. So you graduate from West Point. What happens next?
So graduate from West Point and go to your officer training course, so your specific field. So I was a logistics officer, went to training in Maryland for a few months. And then from Maryland, after you finish that training, you go to your stateside assignment. So for me, immediately was Fort Hood, Texas.
Okay.
The unit that I was assigned to at Fort Hood was already deployed to Iraq. So what happens then is you train up for about 6 to 8 weeks before you're sent over to meet your unit in Iraq. So that's what I did. So I went from Maryland through my officer training down to Fort Hood for a little bit of training before I went overseas, and then met my unit in Iraq in February of 2007. So shortly after I graduated, I was already deployed and well into my Army career.
Wow. You hear about military more than anything, teamwork, leadership, dealing with adversity, accountability, all those things.
Yep. Right.
Same things we talk about when we're coaching a basketball team.
Yeah. I mean, I think the same lessons apply. Like there are a lot of parallels between military service and basketball. Quite honestly, you've got to work as a team, right? To win. You have to have alignment towards a goal and towards a mission. And every person on the team, whether you're in the starting 5 or you're on the bench, has to be bought in. It's the exact same way in the military, right? Every person has a job to play or a role to play. And as a leader, as a point guard or as a platoon leader, you honestly have to make sure that everybody is aligned and connected to the goal. And if not, like you're going to lose a game or you're going to have mistakes in a mission, and that just can't happen. So I think in the basketball sense, right, as a point guard, you've got to get everybody's heads in the game. You've got to make sure everyone knows their role. And the same way that I learned that through basketball, I think I applied it pretty directly in my Army service. So I credit a lot of just my ability to, do well or make it through the Army because of what I learned, honestly, on the court as a player.
Sorry, Dave.
Go, Duff.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's to go into a little more specifics there.
Yeah.
So you're motivating teammates, as a point guard, you're probably choosing a different, strategy for
Absolutely.
Brooke versus, someone who's coming off the bench playing a couple minutes. How do you think about and actualize how you're going to motivate and bring together a team where everyone requires probably a slightly different or very different sort of approach to motivation?
I think emotional intelligence is really important in any sort of leadership role, right? Understanding your team and the people that you're working with. And so I knew who I could really get on the basketball court, and I could just like fire up, and I knew who I had to be more delicate with, right? And you had to apply different tactics based on who you're standing next to. So same thing in the military, right? Whether you have a private who's just out of high school and has joined the Army to, start a job, or you have somebody that's been in for 15, 20 years who has more experience than I did, had to know how to work with them and understand what drives them. So that took time, though. You had to get to know people. And that's important in the Army, is you had to get to know your platoon, your soldiers, understand where they're from, what they're like, and then be able to apply motivation in a way that incentivizes them somehow or inspires them. So,
Adrienne, we were talking before we started recording about Sebastian Junger's book, Tribe, and this concepts of tribe being integral in our human nature and our past. And I'm just going to read a quote about the book from Junger and then just ask you about how it has applied to your experiences. So he writes, "We have a strong instinct to belong to small groups defined by clear purpose and understanding, tribes. This tribal connection has been largely lost in modern society, but regaining it may be the key to our psychological survival." So obviously basketball teams are tribes and a platoon is a tribe. Talk a little bit about your experience with this and how it might be, similar or different with a basketball team versus a platoon.
Yeah, I think definitely on a basketball team, whether you're playing in high school or in college, you're all focused on the same goal and outcome, and you experience the same challenges, the same obstacles. So you're going through something together. It's that togetherness that I think really kind of encapsulates what a tribe represents. Military is the same thing, whether you're a platoon leader or you're a part of a company, right? You have one mission overall. Everybody has their own part in achieving that mission, but there is, I think, that sense of camaraderie that you build through challenge and obstacle that you experience in the military that you might not experience anywhere else. So certainly you have tribes in basketball, but when you're in the military and you're deployed, right, and you're going through something really challenging and exhausting and scary together, that sense of community that you build helps carry you through those hard times. So
it's probably stronger, right? I mean, in most cases, it'd be stronger. A basketball team, you can quit, right? If things get really hard, people quit the team, but you really can't do that.
Yeah, it's the same. I think in the military, either when I was at West Point or serving active duty, you're going through this very tough thing with others, but you all know what you want the outcome to look like. So that, you don't give up. You can't just walk away from your service. You have to complete it, and you have to, do your best every single day. And so that tribe concept is something that resonates with, I think, me and probably most veterans or those that are serving. But I think you get a sense of that when you play basketball or play a team sport. And that starts kind of with your leadership.
And it can be hard to sort of find it again after you leave the platoon or after you leave the team, right? I'm sure was a challenge for you.
Yeah, I think it's that purpose. Like, you have a purpose when you're playing a sport. You have a purpose when you're on a team, a purpose when you're part of a military unit. And so it's finding that purpose that you and others are aligned to, which can be challenging. I think over time, though, you find that community again in other spaces, whether that's sports again or it's through friendship. But having that in the military, I think, is a really unique experience that you can't necessarily replicate exactly in the civilian sector, but something you can try and find and emulate regardless.
Yeah, you can find a good Slack channel at work, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I would add a plug for that book. I read that a couple years ago. Tribe's a great book. And Sebastian Junger, has written a number of really interesting books. I mean, he wrote Perfect Storm, right? But he spent a lot of time embedded with the military and conflict. And so I think it's a really meaningful read. I'm interested in this concept of accountability and kind of owning your mistakes. Like, I read Jocko Willink's book, Extreme Ownership, right? About like SEALs and kind of the ethos is you own everything. Even if you didn't do it, it's ownership, right? And so for you in a basketball context, right, we deal with this all the time where there are mistakes on the court. The coach is trying to get the team on the same page, and some players will say, well, no, that wasn't me. That was her, right? Kind of own it, right? So for you as point guard, you're the coach on the floor. Talk about accountability, ownership, basketball, and then military.
Yeah, I think on the floor as a point guard, right, every success or failure kind of starts with you, right? You're in charge of bringing the ball up the court, getting the offense set, getting people in their places. Same thing on defense, right? You've got to get everybody back in a line and finding the right person. So there is that sense of like quarterbacking, right? Where you just have to be able to run and manage the court well. And win or lose, I think point guards hold a lot of that on their shoulders innately. And maybe it's not the way it should be, but it is. And I think it makes a lot of sense. Certainly in the military, it's the same thing. And even at West Point, the way they teach this is that, you have a squad in basic training and there's maybe 9 people in a squad. If your uniform looks great, your shoes are shined, and you look awesome, great. But if there's somebody on that squad down the line from you that shoes aren't shined, their uniform's a mess, they're not there on time, the entire team fails and you're all doing push-ups or you're all doing some sort of corrective activity.
Right.
Because you only survive as a team. And so you have to look out for every single person and make sure that they're up to standard and they're up to par. So accountability falls on, the team, but you've got to have people looking out for one another to be successful. And then certainly same thing, right? The success of a mission or a project or initiative falls on the leader. The leader has to be responsible, whether it's good or bad. So making sure that 30 of the people in your platoon are aligned is a really hard task, but it's something that you just are constantly working at and trying to figure out how to leverage people's strengths along the way. It's a really, I think, key element, but accountability is important. You have to be able to say, yeah, it's me, I messed up. Or yeah, my bad. How do you fix it? You keep moving forward, right? You don't dwell on the mistakes. You've got to be able to just compartmentalize it and keep going.
Go ahead. Going back to Marin Catholic, what was Coach DeMartini? What was his approach to accountability? And then how much control did he give you over leadership of that team? Like, for example, were you calling plays on the floor? Did you have that autonomy to sort of run an offensive set, based on how you were seeing the game? Yeah,
Rick was awesome. He expected a lot from us, but also, every person was accountable for his or her own job or responsibility, right? Like, full stop. And so as a point guard, though, like, you just knew that if people weren't in their spots or if they weren't, running the plays properly, you had to fix it. And so he gave me a lot of autonomy in terms of being able to like read the court and make decisions and make plays. He and Johnny Knows would, they'd throw out a couple options and then we'd read the defense and adjust. But
get the ball to Brooke.
Get the ball to Brooke, right? I mean, I just had
play one.
Right. And oftentimes that was the case because, we had such powerful post players that I could just lob the ball and Brooke would catch it and hook it in. So that was often our go-to.
Yeah. That's great. Awesome. Well, I want to come back to your military experience later, but I mean, I could have so many questions about it. So again, how long were you in theater in Iraq?
So I was in Iraq just under a year. By the time I had arrived in Iraq, the unit had already been there about 4 or 5 months. This was 2007, so if you remember the surge.
Yes.
So the unit had also just been told that they were extended an additional, I think, 3 or 4 months. So 15-month deployment for my unit. So I came in, they were already there. I think it was February 2007, maybe through December or January, but almost a year. And then you come home to Fort Hood and, typically just get back to training and getting ready to potentially deploy again. That's that was the
And what's that like? I mean, when you're back, you've experienced it over there. Are you wanting to go back, or are you what's your mindset like?
I think particularly after that 15-month deployment, most of the soldiers that I was working with had already had a deployment prior to that.
Right.
So I can't say that people were really excited to go back year over year, right? It was pretty much 1 year deployment, 1 year home, 1 year deployment.
Okay.
So that was kind of the up tempo that I would say generally that class was experiencing, or those years of soldiers were experiencing. So I don't think it was really, I would say, can't speak for everybody, but that you would want to go back so quickly. No. It's just people who had families and little kids, really challenging. I didn't have kids. I wasn't married. So I didn't feel that stress, I would say, as much as others. But it was a tough time to be in the military those couple of years, really, for, and it still is for a lot of people. There people are still deployed to Iraq right now.
Yeah.
So
let's go to your growing up. I mean, growing up, did you know that you wanted to be in the military?
No, I don't think I really thought a lot about the military. My dad was a police officer.
Okay.
SFPD. My mom was a nurse in the city. So I had this sense of wanting to serve in some capacity. I think that was, just instilled in me at a young age. My parents worked really hard, incredible role models. And so I thought I was going to be a cop. I thought I'd go into the police force, but didn't really think much about the military until I started looking at colleges.
Okay. Were you a tough kid?
I think so. I just played sports nonstop. That's all I wanted to do. I had a neighbor who was, my age boy. All we would do was play catch, play baseball, play basketball. We got Steve Young jerseys and helmets at age 8 and played tackle football with each other. Like that's all I did.
Yeah.
And I loved it. So I think I loved the concept of athletics and competition. So my parents wouldn't let me play tackle football though when I asked when I was 10, but I understand why now.
I like that you asked. So did you always gravitate towards basketball, or were there other sports that you were really good at and that you liked?
I played soccer. I played club soccer up until about 6th or 7th grade. And then I kind of made the decision to focus on basketball, but those were probably my top 2.
Yeah. All right. So how'd you end up at MC?
So growing up in Petaluma, there was one Catholic high school, St. Vincent's.
Sure.
It was pretty small, and I thought I'd maybe have more opportunity, bigger school to do more at Marin Catholic. And my parents were both still working in the city at the time, so it was on the way to work. So that became part of the equation. But quite honestly, I started playing AAU with all the Marin girls. So I was down here working out with Fulton, Mike and Larry and Brooke, and we were getting in workouts. And so all of us kind of ended up realizing that we wanted to go to Marin Catholic. And so that was a huge influence, right, of being able to play with the girls I was competing against in CYO, but also playing with an AAU. So
Dream team.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
So we talked a lot with Brooke about the Marin Catholic experience, right, and that team. And what I'm thinking about with you is, okay, you're the point guard, you're the coach on the floor, you've got 8 uber competitive Division I athletes. Everybody wants the ball. Everybody obviously has got their eyes on playing in college. How did you manage that? How'd you manage egos, shots, all that? What'd you do, coach?
Yeah, I think, it was a really awesome group of girls. I think, honestly, we didn't have any selfish players. Everybody wanted the team to be successful. We wanted the state championship. We wanted to win. And so people understood, I think, their roles. Was it perfect? No. Did everybody get the ball as much as they wanted? Probably not. But as a point guard, you're going to find the open person that's more likely to score, and that's who you're going to pass the ball to. So, but I would say broadly, if you look at our team, everybody had great high school careers, and there was just a lot of, I would say, alignment. We didn't have people that were unhappy.
Yeah.
We were all friends. We all remain really good friends today, which is really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a really great, I think, experience.
So I found an article. I mean, I remember you really well. I remember watching your team. And again, obviously I knew Brooke and Nikki from coaching them, but I loved watching you play. But I found this article that was a great distillation of you. You had a separated shoulder during the playoffs, so you couldn't play in NCS, right? Yep. And then in the NorCal final, you guys beat the top seed Ursuline, who was like 32-3 or something. And your coach, Rick DeMartini, in the article said, Adrienne had not been able to shoot a 3-point shot in practice all week. And tonight, when she was in Payne, she made 2 big 3-pointers. She was hurting still, but if you didn't see the heart of that kid on the floor tonight, you never will. So,
that was him left-handed?
Not quite.
So that's why I was asking, like when you were young, we were like, clearly you're tough. You're one of these kids who, some kids, they get knocked down, they are dramatic. I don't think that was you. I think you get knocked down, you just get back up and you just keep fighting.
Yeah, I think, I was always really small. So I think oftentimes maybe I was overlooked, or people would say like, oh, she's too small, or she's not fast enough. And I'm one of those people, you tell me I can't do something, and I just like get fired up. And so same thing with an injury, right? I have an injury. Can I fight through it and perform? Like I'm going to try my best every time. So I don't know. I think I like that kind of pressure in a way, but I don't know. I think I just, like I said, I loved the competition. I loved having adversity. And I just think that helped me push through challenging circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk about your recruiting journey. So when did West Point come calling? And we were talking before we started recording, but you were looking at some of the other military academies as well, right?
Yep. So I started to get some letters, maybe it's the sophomore year, right? Nothing really serious. Some small D1 schools, some D2. And then I started to get letters from Air Force, Navy initially. and went out and did some visits. I went to camp at Navy. I did a visit at Air Force, stayed over, the weekend.
Yep.
And then eventually had a West Point coach see, I think, one of our summer games. I think we coordinated and they were able to come check out. I forget where we were playing, but when we were playing with Fulton. And then started to get letters and, phone calls and all of that. So I went for a visit fall of my senior year, so maybe September. And I think once I stepped on military base, like at West Point, it just kind of became this overwhelming sense of like history and tradition and privilege to be able to have an opportunity to attend. So that for me, I was sold. I think Annapolis is beautiful, great campus. Didn't really find much interest in being on a ship in the middle of the ocean. Like didn't really seem like something I wanted to do. And then Air Force Academy just didn't hit the same way. So
That's Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs, yeah.
All right. So for the kids out there, Annapolis, that's Naval Academy. That's Annapolis, Maryland. That's boats.
Yep, that's boats.
Air Force, that's up in the air.
Yep.
That's Colorado Springs, Colorado, about an hour south of Denver.
And they're cadets.
And they're,
Air Force Academy, they're cadets, yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Good job, Duffy. Impressive. Okay. Army, West Point, New York. Talk about, give us the,
Yeah.
Give us a Chamber of Commerce pitch on West Point.
Yeah. So it's up the Hudson River, just about an hour north of New York City. Hudson Valley is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's right on the river. It's I think 1802 was founded, so very old institution, but really focused on full leader development, right? So it's a university, 4-year degree. You have to have a Bachelor of Science as your graduation kind of requirement. There are 4 different pillars foundationally that they focus on, and it's character, academic, physical, and military. So that's the way that they build their cadets. And the reason being, you're going to go and serve in the Army afterwards. So
Yeah.
everything that they do is surrounded by those kind of 4 foundational elements. I showed up. What happens is you show up about maybe early July after you graduate from high school, and you start your basic training. So you go through 6 weeks of what they call Beast Barracks. It's just kind of your indoctrination, like any basic training might be. You get through that summer, which is pretty challenging, I would say, and then you immediately enter your academic year, and you're basically a full-on student, cadet, athlete, all in one.
All right. So compare basic training, the physical challenge of basic training versus a really hard basketball practice.
Really hard to compare there, just because you're doing ruck marches with big huge rucks on. You're at the range, qualifying. You're doing 15, 16 mile ruck marches. You're doing physical training. You're getting yelled at every day. I'd say worse than Fulton could ever yell at us.
No.
Yeah. It was. You just have upperclassmen all over you, and the idea being like, can you handle it? Can you handle somebody in your face? Can you figure out how to kind of become a soldier? Essentially, you show up with 11 items, I think, for basic training. You have like one bag, very specific items, nothing beyond what's on that list. So your former life is really behind you.
Yeah. Is that scary?
For good reason. Yeah, it was scary. I can remember the first night after the longest day of my life of starting at West Point.
Yeah.
And just getting into my barracks room and just laying in bed, just crying. The first night, because it's just overwhelming.
Sure.
It's like just shock of what am I doing?
Yeah.
What is happening? And by 4 a.m., you're getting yelled at again, and you're out just trying to figure out how to make it through the day.
So I've heard, I mean, I think this stuff is so fascinating, but they talk about Navy SEAL Hell Week, right? Which is miserable. I don't like is there something like that for basic training where there's that one culminating week where they make it, or period of time where they make it really challenging to kind of weed out?
So Navy SEALs are much tougher than I ever am, but I would say there's just the 6 weeks altogether at West Point are meant to be just that, but not to that extent of what Hell Week is by any means. That what those guys go through is really unparalleled. But the 6 weeks truly is, can you make it through this period of time, right? Where you have 4 responses you can say, and you can't talk to anybody, you can't look around, you've got to have your hands cupped. So it's just all those little things put together in those 6 weeks to make sure that you can actually, I'd say, cut it. And then if you can, great. I think a few people probably left, maybe a handful.
Yeah.
But beyond that, your plebe year really is that, but plus academics, right? Plus academics, plus military training, plus basketball all combined. So it's it's pretty challenging from that sense of like having to do well in the classroom and having to meet the standards of kind of the military drills and all of that. But
I was talking to a friend who was a Navy SEAL, and I was asking him about that whole training thing. And he said something that I still think about and I still try to impart to my kids that I'm coaching. It's like, when you think about, okay, how am I going to make it through this week? Or how am I going to make it through these 6 weeks? He said, that's not how you do it.
Yep.
He said, how am I going to make it to breakfast?
exactly.
And get to breakfast. Okay, now we're going to get to lunch.
Yeah.
It's like, and you kind of quantify, you break it down into these small wins, and it makes it more manageable, right? And digestible.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's the same thing with, I talk about this with practice today. Like we played yesterday, our San Domenico team, we didn't play that well. So Fulton's like, all right, today we're going to be doing a lot of defense, and the girls are kind of a little nervous about what's going to be hard. And it's just get to the next drill.
Yep, exactly.
Just get through this next 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's the way you have to look at it. I think the same thing at West Point or in the Army, whatever's challenging. It's just like one little bit at a time, and that's the way I think made it through the academy. It's just one day at a time.
Dave, just win this next question, okay?
I don't know. I'm thinking about the whole interview, Duff. Okay, so ultimately, you go to Army. Now let's talk about basketball, Adrienne. So you're dealing with all this other stuff, a lot of things for a freshman to deal with. But then you're playing Division I hoops. So you walk on or you walk onto the court at West Point. How do you stack up as a freshman compared to the team? Are you a starter? Are you really good?
Yeah, so I think maybe a third of the way in the season, I started a couple games. We had a couple good solid guards on the team. Played a bit, I would say, the first few months, and then had one bad game and had some turnovers. And for me, that was kind of it. So I played a little bit my freshman year, and then got injured with my first kind of shoulder injury, not the same one that I hurt in high school, the other shoulder.
Oh, fun.
And had surgery.
Why are you just diving on the floor all the time? Or how are you hurting your shoulders?
So, well, I don't know. I can't remember what happened exactly with the high school injury, but at West Point, I think I just got knocked pretty hard in a screen, and I had an AC.
Got to go under the screen, Adrienne.
Oh, right. A big girl post player knocked me. And so that was like maybe March of my freshman year. And so then I needed surgery on the left shoulder. So the season, I think my freshman season didn't turn out the way that I had hoped.
Right.
But I evolved and figured out like what my role was on the team. And I loved the team. I loved basketball. I got so much joy out of practicing and playing that I learned how to just make the best of kind of the situation. So didn't play a lot at all. Had a couple other surgeries, 2 more for all of that, and figured out how to, again, like utilize my strengths to help the team, whether that was coming off the bench, for the last couple of minutes, or it was, playing scout team to get the starters ready. I just loved the game so much and loved the team that was what I had to embrace and, kept playing.
Was your coach a disciplinarian? Like, I mean, do they, I don't know what,
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, do the military academies try to have kind of that ethos in their coaches, or?
It varies. The coach I had for the first 3 years was pretty tough. She was a really, really tough person to play for.
Mm-hmm.
But our senior year, we actually brought in Maggie Dixon, who was Jamie Dixon's sister.
Oh, cool.
And that senior year was incredible. Like, she was young, she was energetic.
Yeah.
We actually had a really great season and made it to the tournament for the first time ever. So Patriot League, you get
Amazing.
a spot.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, the coach that we had our senior year was probably one of my favorite coaches, just because of her ability to.
And Jamie Dixon, by the way, is a very good Division I coach. Coached at Pitt. I can't remember where he is now.
TCU.
Yeah, TCU, exactly.
Yep.
By the way, TCU is looking for women basketball players. Did you hear about this?
No, I didn't.
So you could, if you still have some eligibility, they had an open invitation to students because they had so many injuries on their basketball team.
Wow.
So they were looking for students. So
Did they get anyone?
they got a few. They got a few people. Yeah,
That's cool.
They got a few people. But yeah, so Jamie Dixon, great coach. That's cool that his sister was your coach.
Yeah.
And you made the tournament. That's awesome. Okay, discuss being a Division I athlete in terms of balancing academic, social life, athletics, especially at a place like West Point.
Yeah.
Programming note, the Roomba just started on its own in your house. Is that true, Dave?
Oh, wow.
The vacuum
Um,
going. It just...
So my daughter has named our Roomba Jean-Pierre because she thinks he's French. So
Well, they all are.
clearly. Anyway, thank you, Jean-Pierre, for your appearance. Okay, go to balancing social life, academics.
Yeah, I think honestly in the academy, like your D1 playing experience is at honestly the bottom of the priority list.
Yeah.
So you have to perform academically. You don't get any shortcuts. You don't get privileges because you're an athlete. So for us, it was, your schedule all day was like, you get up at 6:30. It's everyone's going to formation for breakfast. You go to classes all day. You have a lunch break, very short. Everyone's back in classes all day. And then you're running over to get to the sports bus to make it to practice for 2 hours. So it was like every single day was just from morning till night, right? You're just going. And so for us, getting to basketball was almost like a relief, right? Like
Yeah, it's a
now I get
business
to,
life,
now I get to run sprints with the team.
Right,
So like,
right.
So for us, that was kind of the release, was like getting together with your teammates and going like, oh my gosh, like I've had either a really rough day or I've got, 2 exams tomorrow, and you're working together to help each other kind of get through. So having that was really, really great. Being on the team at West Point was really fantastic. And most D1 athletes will say, like, if played at West Point, like being on a team was so incredibly special because you had that rare moment where you could just be, yourself, as you knew yourself playing in high school. But yeah, you don't have free time at West Point. Like there's no social life. There's no,
Right.
you don't get to even leave post, I think, your freshman year, except for like one weekend with your parents, or if you're going to a game. So you're not like hanging out, free time watching movies, you're studying.
They don't allow keg parties in the off
I mean, it's surprising, right? You don't get to bring cakes on campus. No, but I think that adds another element to just how they're developing you, right? It's like,
Right.
if you don't play D1 sport, you have to play an intramural sport. So they're very focused on playing
interesting.
athletics. So you either go to your D1 sport, whether you're on swim team, track, whatever, or you go and play intramurals. And that's a function of what you do as a cadet. And then you
That's very intentional in terms of both
Absolutely.
fitness as well as like teamwork. Right?
Yeah.
Teamwork, for sure.
So
Yeah.
you combine that with like
Commitment.
PT. They'll have like PT requirements on the weekend. If you're not playing, you're waking up to do PT. So running, calisthenics, push-ups, whatever it is. Like physical fitness is really, really key. But I think we would take tests on the road. Like we had to take around 21 credits each semester.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
we're
a
taking
lot.
a ton of classes. And whether you liked math and science or not, like you had to take those classes. And for me,
Right.
didn't love them, but had to take them. So it was just really learning how to manage your time. And the way like my husband and I talk about a lot is like they give you so much that they know you can't get everything done. But it's how do you prioritize and manage it so that you do the best you can, but get those really critical things done and accomplished. So it's like that time management aspect that I think is really important too, that they just instill in you.
It's fantastic.
So you're now coaching your daughter in 4th grade CYO.
Yeah. Yep.
What was preseason boot camp for them like?
Yeah.
What type of
How were the ruck hikes?
Yeah. So I would say we're not quite there yet. No, it's really fun. I mean, I think the biggest lesson that I can share even with my daughter was talk about basketball and teamwork is that if you make a mistake, like you keep going, right? If we don't do something well on the court, bring it in, reset, go back out and do it again, right? You just don't give up. So I think that's like one thing that I can share with the kids.
Yeah.
Is like you just don't give up. If something happens or you're not playing well or you don't have a good game, you don't throw in the towel.
Yeah, and body language, right? I'm sure there's a lot of that.
Oh yeah,
response,
for
right?
sure.
Yeah.
You compose yourself. You don't get upset, right? You just carry on because, you have another play coming or you have something else to accomplish. So I'm not making them do hardcore sprints yet, but maybe one day.
So speaking of Coach Adrienne, what are your favorite drills and what were your favorite drills as a player?
So for the girls that I'm coaching, I love 3-man weave. I think it's so fun, like getting up and down the court feels great. And that's what as point guard, like you just love pushing the ball, right? So that we do probably every practice or almost every practice.
By the way, we start every San Domenico practice. Fulton has us do the weave 15 in a row.
I love it. So that's, it's funny is we did that this week and I'm like, we've got 3 groups. Can we get 2 out of 3 layups out of this?
This is 4th graders. That's a tall task.
But they can do it. It's funny. You give them a little bit of like, you give them an objective and they're like, okay, now I'm really focused and serious. And now I'm going to actually not be silly in the drill and make it. So, but I think Fulton, I remember those drills. It's like, if you didn't make them, start over and you would do it for an hour until you got it right.
I mean, it's interesting. The weave is so old school. And I know some coaches will say, they'll roll their eyes and say, wow, that's 1985.
Love it.
I think it's great because and we talked about this one of our earlier episodes, Duff, it fosters connectivity as a team.
Yeah.
You're talking, everybody's saying ball, you're working together, you're moving down the court together. It gets us connected at the start of practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think for us, it's girls call for the ball, say their name, right?
Every time.
And we're just constantly saying that over and over until they do it on their own.
Yeah.
But spacing too, for fourth graders, like I think it's a great way to get them used to spacing out on the court, right?
Can you get them? I found this is a challenge when I had, fourth grade boys, when I try and do the weave, is like, not all of them would keep moving when I write.
Right.
It's like the ball's coming to me, I
Yep.
stop until I catch it.
Yeah.
And then I move again, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a really hard aspect of the weave. But can you get the girls to all be moving fluidly?
We can. We can keep saying like lead the person, right? So keep going and lead them with the pass
Yeah.
rather than, wait a few seconds. So
I don't know if you've done this one, Adrienne, but I did this with my now freshmen, but when I think they were in sixth grade, A team, we started to do this with the weave, is we would say, okay, we've got to get down the court in 5 passes.
it's great.
And then we do that. And then, okay, now we got to do it in 4 passes.
I like it.
And they loved it because it was a real challenge.
Yep.
And the first couple times we did it, was a disaster.
Sure.
Right. And and without traveling, and we got to
Yeah.
make the layup.
That's a tall task.
So
Yep.
so maybe with fourth graders start with, all right, let's get down the court in 6 passes.
Right.
And they could do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing what
That's right.
kids can do when they set their minds to it.
That's right.
So that was kind of a fun way to do it, but awesome. Okay. So cheesy question back to our Run TMC mission. What does Marin Hoops mean to you? How did Marin Hoops shape you as a player and person, even though you're from Petaluma, Adrienne?
I'm Petaluma, but played ball here. Yeah, I think just getting to know so many other girls in Marin who had a love for the game just continued to inspire me, right? To want to play more, want to go to the extra clinics, want to go work out with Mike. I think we had a really great community, and we had a lot of great parents that just would find the clinics. We'd find Mike, I think, at the barn, right? That's where I met him. And
Yeah.
Gary is like, my dad take me there, and there'd be a couple other girls from Marin playing. And so
Pavilion.
yeah, pavilion. So there were a lot of us that just kept showing up, and I think together with the parents and the coaches we had between like Rick and Mike, my CYO coach Andy, and my dad who helped us out. I think we just had really great supporters early on, and this is again like 90s, right? So it was, I'd say, not maybe as popular as it is now. It was like parents were looking for those opportunities to get their girls into more clinics, more skill section, and I credit the people here to help us have access to all that.
That's great. That's great. So I want to give you a chance, Adrienne, to plug the military academies to the kids who are listening. So pitch them on why they should look into serving our country and consider West Point or the other military academies for college.
And this is from a man who grew up on the rough streets of Ross, was it?
Duffy, I was Peacock Gap. Don't mess with me.
Yeah, well, yeah. I was hardened on the streets of Mill Valley.
Yeah, I know. You and I both.
Well, I definitely think the military obviously is not for everybody. And I think you'll know that pretty quickly. If you go and look at West Point's website and you haven't seen it before, you'll know pretty quickly whether you want to engage in that sort of like training for 4 years or not. But for those kids that are interested in challenging themselves and serving, like have this aspect of wanting to serve or give back in a way that only the military can provide that, the academies are great because you get a 4-year incredible education, incredible leadership development opportunities. And then when you graduate, you have the opportunity to serve overseas. And not every service that you're going to do overseas is combat or conflict. There's a lot of peacekeeping operations that are going on now, right? That are giving back and helping not just our country, but others. So I think if there's that service interest in any way, I think kids should look into it. And I also think that if the military is not the route, like Peace Corps is great, right? There's other ways that kids can serve. And I think, especially growing up here, right, where we have so many of us have access to so many opportunities, right? Like access to resources and opportunities that are abundant. I think it's great perspective building when you join the military because you end up meeting people from all walks of life, corners of the U.S. that like otherwise you would never engage with. And I think getting out of, kind of a small community and joining the military allows for that. And so I'm a huge proponent with academies for obvious reasons, but I just think it's an unparalleled opportunity if you're given the chance to attend. So my experience overseas and my experience stateside in the Army were, really, really incredibly important. Learned a lot. And now I'm grateful for what I went through. Going through it was hard, but so grateful that I took the opportunity and had the privilege to serve.
Yeah. How hard was it serving in Iraq? Like for you, I mean, every day were you waking up? Was it really hard?
Yeah, I think every day just felt really hard just because of the circumstances, right?
Yeah.
So I was in the Diyala province, which was northeast of Baghdad. And so you would get mortars and rockets on our base every
Wow.
day. And we would run and lead convoys. I'd lead convoys through our area of operations to drop off supplies. And so you're constantly on edge. So that stress level of wondering if there's a roadside bomb or if, you're responsible for 30 other vehicles. Everyone needs to get there safely. The stress level, I think, is just really taxing. But I think just having the opportunity to serve and take care of soldiers as a platoon leader was like a great honor and privilege that I took really seriously, and that almost I think everybody I served with did, was like being important and being a good leader to them. So that kind of kept me motivated and going on those scary and exhausting days.
Are you bonded with the people you serve with? Like, are you still friends with them?
Yeah. So there are a couple of soldiers I still stay in touch with, several of the other lieutenants that I served with in Iraq. My company commander is now colonel. I stay in touch with him and his family. So there are some just really unique bonds that, again, you can't experience or make in any other kind of circumstance. So yeah, I'm definitely grateful that I had the chance to serve.
I mean, going through challenging things with people on a team bonds you, and I can't think of anything more challenging than what you went through. So
yeah,
that's amazing. Thanks again for your service.
Other than perhaps this interview, because we've just been grilling.
This is nothing, except when our rumba started. Duff, you have anything else for Adrienne before we hit to crunch time?
I think crunch time. I'm looking forward to crunch time.
Okay, here we go. Toughest player you ever played against in Marin?
Oh, probably Diane Peterson.
Yeah.
Diane was tough.
My friend Diane.
Yeah, she's tough. She was such a good player and so strong. I mean, she just pushed me around. Like, she just had strength that I did not have.
So Diane played for Fulton at Terra Linda. Was a great player. Played at College of Marin for him as well, and then played at Sacramento State, and has been a fantastic coach. Was a coach at Redwood.
Yeah,
but not currently coaching.
Not currently coaching at Redwood.
Here at Archie. She's at Archie.
She's a teacher at Archie. She's a fabulous person. She's a listener of this podcast. I'm trying to get her to maybe join me on my staff next year. Don't tell her that, though. That's a good answer. Diane can play. And her sister Chrissy, really good player too. Okay. Toughest player you ever played against overall?
Overall, probably Alexis Kendrick, who played for St. Bernard against us in the state championship game. She went and played at Georgia.
Yeah.
Crushed it. She was so good and so fast and so strong. I mean, when I think about everybody, college or high school, she was, I think.
And was she a point guard?
She was, yeah. So we were matched up. Yeah, she was good.
So were you, like, when someone was picking you up full court and they're all up in you, were you like, awesome, I'm going to go buy them? Or like what? I wasn't that fast. Armbar. That's what I say to the girls all the time.
Spin dribble.
I mean, that's honestly, I wasn't the fastest person. I think, again, I was surrounded by really good players.
Yeah.
I could read the court pretty well. So
you were a good ball handler, I remember.
I could dribble well. I could pick the ball. But yeah, I think she was quick and she was strong. So that was a really tough matchup. But I was always just outsized. So I had to find ways around that.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite gym in Marin?
Marin Catholic. I mean,
such a boring answer.
Every time I walk in there, though, all I want to do is get back on there and play.
It's good. We've had, as you've listened, we've had a number of people say it's their favorite gym because the rims are nice and forgiving.
I believe it. It looks great. It's always improving when I go in there.
Did there used to be an upper level to the gym?
Duffy, please. Duffy, you should listen to this podcast. Okay, favorite gym you ever played in outside,
I probably have to say playing on the West Point court was pretty cool. I mean,
how many people fit in that arena? Do you know?
Oh gosh, that's good size.
A couple thousand?
Yeah, a couple thousand. But, Coach K coached there or played there rather for Bobby Knight. So like,
right. There's some history.
But no, I just think the court there and the stands are set up well. It's just a beautiful, beautiful place.
West Point's not that big a school. right? Enrollment wise, right?
4,000.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's not that big.
it's small.
You think it would be bigger.
NCS Division 1, I think. Though.
Yeah.
Okay. Most interesting place the Army took you.
I mean, I would say outside of Iraq, I didn't get to go many other places.
Iraq's pretty interesting.
It was interesting.
Must have been hot.
It's very, very hot. 116, 120 in
Right.
summertime, dry heat.
Oh my gosh. And you're in full
Oh yeah. Gear, helmet, everything, weapon. So it was hot. That was very, very hot and humid. When people complain about heat here, my daughter's like, "Oh, it's so hot." I'm like, it's
Yeah,
90 degrees or 80 degrees.
you don't know
Hot.
anything.
No, but that's the most interesting. Otherwise, I was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, which wasn't very interesting, but
Also hot, just not as hot.
also hot. Yeah, just
Yeah.
different.
And by the way, West Point, cold.
Very cold. The winters really, really got to me. I mean, frigid, below freezing days. And what's interesting there is you're not like bundled up in all these layers that you want. You're in a uniform that they assign you for the day, whether that's
Yeah.
one jacket with zip up and a hood. So yeah, I just was cold all the time.
We're just California wimps,
That's what I say. I'm soft.
basically. Yeah.
Yes, I am.
All right, Adrienne. Game-winning 3 or game-winning steal?
No steal.
I knew you'd say that.
Steal. I mean, the rare times I shot a 3, those were great, but getting a steal is,
Tell us about one memorable steal from either high school or college.
oh gosh.
Do you like
I
the
don't think I
poke
remember
away, or
one.
do you like the in the lane, like hand out?
Probably I would just like on a fast break come from behind, and that was my favorite.
Dave Deneen would say wolf.
Wolf. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got a whole team saying wolf.
Do you?
Well, most of them.
So I was at the Archie San Marin, your Archie San Marin game a couple weeks ago, and I was watching the girls game as well, and Tony Butler screamed wolf, and I thought, oh, he's been listening to the podcast, and I texted him. He's like, dude, I've been saying that for years.
I didn't. Yeah, I haven't been saying that, but now I'm gonna use it.
Yeah. Okay, dream team. You're heading down to play pickup, Adrienne. You and who?
I mean, I have to go with my MC girls.
All right. Well, which one? You have
Okay,
8
so-
Division I players to
Okay,
choose
I
from.
know. Okay, I mean, I have to go with the seniors as starting five. So Brooke, Nikki, Mikulski, Nestor.
You
You.
can bring subs too. Right?
But yeah, Casey Lockwood, Forey,
Gage.
Gage. Yeah.
Okay, so Mikulski went to Princeton.
Mikulski ended up at Santa Clara.
Oh, right.
She went to ASU, walked on, I think, and then transferred to Santa Clara, played there. Laura Nestor went to Princeton. By the way, she played COA with me at St. Vincent's. We grew up down in Petaluma together.
Nice.
And then played against each other in college, Princeton against Army. So
Oh, right.
yeah, and same with Lockwood. She went to Princeton.
Of course.
But
Casey, yep.
yeah, and then Nikki, Brooke. I can't not choose them.
That's a pretty tough squad.
Man.
Okay, favorite Marin restaurant?
Okay, so this one you probably haven't tried yet. It's a Novato Active Culture. It's
I've not tried it. Tell
very
me.
good. It's healthy, quick meals right off Ignacio. Bowls, wraps, salads, acai bowls, smoothies.
Sounds like a sponsor, Duff.
It's
Too
delicious.
healthy for us, man.
It's really good. It's my favorite spot. We go there probably too much, but it's
Is it near the boardroom?
The kids like it.
kids love it. I don't know where the boardroom. Oh, it's
The boardroom's in like a strip mall
So
in
it's-
Ignacio,
so
and
it's
it's
not-
awesome.
it's by the Nugget in Novato.
Oh, okay.
Right next door to Nugget.
That's
And like
good.
Marin Coffee Roasters.
Oh, yeah. I
Tucked
know.
away next to
I know exactly where that is. All right.
check it out.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna go check it out.
If you go to that Nugget and you tell them it's your birthday, they'll give you a free pint of ice cream. It's
Well,
a tip.
Don't tell anybody, Duff. It's your secret. The 12 people listening to this. Okay, Duffy, do you have any other crunch time questions for Adrienne Sherk?
So in training in Iraq, what is the most amount of weight that you lost in sweat in one day from
oh my gosh.
being out in the,
I
out in the
wish
field?
didn't have a scale.
Estimate.
Oh God, I don't know. I probably lost 10 pounds, but I think it's just you're just drenched in sweat, especially if you're on a mission. You're in a Humvee, there's AC's not on, not working, didn't have it. You're in full uniform and gear. It's just like you get out, you're soaked.
It's not like
constantly.
in firefighting. They have designated every 20 minutes you get reassessed for. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like to make sure that you're
Yeah.
not overheating and that you haven't lost too much.
Yeah.
fluid, but you probably didn't have that.
They've done the Army's done, I think, a lot more around wellness, I think, in the last few years
Yeah.
than they did maybe when we were in the military. But we would just have like Gatorades, waters in the backseat of the Humvee or in, the wreck or whatever vehicle we were in, because you know how long you're going to be out, and it's just the heat was
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
crazy.
But
No, thank you.
Yeah. Well, Adrienne, it's awesome to see you. Thank you so much for, well, first of all, most importantly, thank you for your service to our country. And thank you for reaching out to us and sharing your experiences. So cool to hear about all this. I'm excited for your coaching career. I think you're going to be an amazing coach. I'm scared how good your kids are going to be. Got some athletes there. And just can't thank you enough. So thank you.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. Really appreciate
It's
it.
a great interview. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, Adrienne. That was great. And let's do a bit of a recap here, Dave. Let's hit on some high points. What do you got?
Yeah, a lot, but I'll try to be brief. First of all, I will say we had a few technical difficulties with that interview. My fault, our microphones went out. So we had a few questions that we asked her that we didn't get, which was too bad because Adrienne had so many cool things to say. But I think what we were able to salvage was great anyway. I liked when she was talking about the emotional intelligence that you need kind of as a point guard or a leader on the floor, and how that also translates into being a leader of troops in battle, kind of knowing your personnel and who can take more direct feedback and who you need to be kind of more gentle with.
EI, not emo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. Nice callback.
Yeah.
I also I liked the whole concept of service, right? That her family, her parents were in service, police officer. And so even though she said when she was younger, she didn't necessarily know that she wanted to go into the military, it seemed like she always knew she wanted to do something in the service realm. And, what a sacrifice she made for our country. Hearing her talk about life at West Point sounded really interesting and rewarding, but also really hard.
Right.
And
life in Iraq and broiling temperatures with no breaks and carrying a bunch of gear and my goodness.
ruck marches. Yeah. So just really, appreciate everything that Adrienne has done for our country. I think she's just also an awesome person. And as I said before, I remember watching her play, and she was just one of those, she was a coach on the floor. She was a leader. She was full of energy. She was a smart player. I don't think I ever saw her turn the ball over. I'm sure she did, but it was rare. Just one of those point guards that you love to watch. And she was able to lead a team full of talented players. But, she kind of downplayed this, but you have 8 Division I players on a team. That's hard.
Crazy. Yeah.
How do you deal with egos, touches, shots? And, it's great to have a coach like Rick DiMartini who was able to manage all that, but you need to have somebody on the floor that's your coach on the floor, and that was Adrienne, and that's why they had success. So I think Adrienne's just awesome.
Yeah. Can you define the 5 elements of emotional intelligence, Dave?
No, but I would love for you to help me.
Self-awareness.
Okay.
So as a point guard, know your role.
Yep.
Self-regulation.
All right.
Don't dribble into that double team.
Yep.
Motivation.
Okay.
Clearly, Adrienne has that in spades. Empathy. So yeah, you want to, get your all 8 Division I players, you want to get them touches.
Yep.
Be able to feel their pain if they're not feeling the ball in their hands. And social skills.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, I think Adrienne's 5 for 5 on that front. And
Got that off of Mental Health America.
I thought you just pulled that from your mental Rolodex. I love that she's coaching now. She's got young kids. I'm not kidding. I saw her, I think it was a 4th grade team practicing. I'm like, all right, they could already compete in the 6th grade league, I think. Yeah. They're all good. So Adrienne's awesome. Really appreciate her time.
I'm going to have another callback before we go because I, was prepared to talk about A Sense of Where You Are, which is about Bill Bradley.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it, but there was a quote about the title of the book, A Sense of Where You Are, and Bill Bradley later described what the book's title meant to him from a basketball sense, both from a life and basketball standpoint. And he said, you have to have a sense of where you are in life. You don't get carried away. You know who you are. You understand the environment, the context in which you're living, and you make decisions based on centeredness. So I think that's kind of what a good point guard does.
The concept of being centered is a really good one for basketball, just having being on an even keel, being present. Tyler Gaffney talked about being present and being resilient. Those are 2 characteristics he wants in his team. And I think being centered is another way of saying being present, right?
A nice way to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's great. Awesome. Well, super fun to talk to Adrienne. Can't thank her enough.
Thank you, Adrienne. Come back. chat with us again. This has been the Run TMC Podcast. That is the Run the Marin County Podcast, a podcast about basketball in Marin County. Thank you for listening.
That was 30 episode stuff.
30 episodes. Thank you for listening to 30 episodes, or at least the 30th episode, if not the preceding 29.
That's right.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says, "Hey, dude, you too must be from Marin." Marin County.